Today's dedication is for Terax, who gave me a very generous 1 year's worth of subscriptions on Patreon. Mendicant Core versus Tergrid, Oketra and Grist. Plenty of mana. In fact, we're going to end up emptying our hand quite quickly, but we'll just have to hope that we draw into something. A means of refilling our hand, that is. A turn 1 Sol Ring for God Eternal Oketra. We see Expedition map for the mono black player. And there's some turn 2 ramp for us as well in Archaeomancer's map, so I think we're going for a Darker Wastes into Gingerbrute. That will fix our white mana for next turn, and unfortunately can't start our engines just yet, but I'll swing it straight down the middle and hope that we don't get an Edict onto the Gingerbrute, because this is the fastest means of starting our engines. It's probably, it's going to be a good idea to get our commander down next turn actually. You have a Maya coming down early, which means we won't have to take too much damage to Ancient Tomb. That's good, because that can mount up in the early game. And that was a turn 1 commander, by the way, which for some reason, there we go, we can see the other side of it there. A Core Cartographer on turn 2 thanks to the Sol Ring, so God Eternal Oketra ramping ahead. Expedition map cracked for a Cabal Coffers, so he must have a decent number of swamps available to him. So apparently, even with a turn 1 Gingerbrute, we're not going to be able to go fast enough to get ourselves up to speed 4 very quickly, so best get down our commander here so that we can get some damage through to the black player before a creature comes down over there as well. So when that enters, we start at level 1 and we are able to swing into the left. We can make the Gingerbrute unblockable at least, which we might have to do next turn. We'll have the Ancient Tomb, so we can still go Archaeomancer's map and pay for the Gingerbrute ability, but we are up to level 2 already. See how quickly we can do that so that we can hopefully start copying some artifacts. Elvish Visionary for the Grist player. Sol Ring takes God Eternal Oketra into Mindstone, played an Arch of Arazka for the turn, and a Flicker Enabler in Teleportation Circle. So is this on entry then? No, it's whenever you cast a creature spell, so they're not going to get multiple zombies from that, but they will be able to ramp with Core Cartographer, who swings in to the right. Untaps the Cartographer when it flickers, of course. And hopefully we don't see a Toxic Deluge from the Tergrid player here. Well, there's Gravelighter. These are the Edict effects that are so prevalent on Magic Online now. We can still level up this if we keep Gingerbrute, but I suppose we can level it up if we keep our commander as well, so yeah, we'll give up on the Gingerbread Man. The only creatures left in play are the 2 commanders. A Brotherhood Regalia. Do we get some protection on our commander? Winged Boots would probably be better because of Ward 4. Maybe we should if there's going to be targeted removal. There's no creatures to play for an Edict effect anyway. So let's go Ancient Tomb. I'll tap that down for the 2 mana to get down Mana Vault, just in case that additional mana matters later on. And then it's Winged Boots and just pay the 1 mana to equip to our commander. So that is now Ward 4 and flying. And obviously we have more artifacts in play now, so that'll be more power for us. Swing that in, dealing damage will get us up to level 3. So hopefully we'll be able to get this to level 4 on our next turn, and that will be our commander online. Bastion of Remembrance will give our opponent a token. God Eternal Oketra, 4 cards in hand. And at 3 mana available, can play a creature into this by the looks of it. Priest of Ancient Lore, gain a life and draw when it enters. So comes in with a Vigilance creature. And then managed to play a land as well. There is a Skull Clamp. Can't equip it. I wouldn't have thought he'd particularly care about that anyway. Probably just flickers the Priest with the circle to gain a life and draw again. So ends the turn with 3 cards in hand. And can we dodge a board wiped or an Edict? Nope. Maya Misery. Each opponent sacks a creature or an enchantment. So a token goes down over here. We'll bring our commander back to the command zone. And we don't have a means of haste at the moment, unfortunately. So maybe we just have to focus on ramping with the Archaeomancer's map. Or we could just draw into Lightning Greaves. So drop an island. And we do have to go for our commander here, I think. Pay life into Ancient Tomb again. It's a good job we got the mana vault down, although I'm not sure we need to make use of the blue mana particularly. So we've got 2 mana left up. we couldn't copy anything if we wanted to, so we might as well go Winged Boots onto our commander. Shame I couldn't copy the Archaeomancer's map here. Have to equip the boots before the Lightning Greaves, because Shroud will switch off our equipment. I'm going to show God Eternal Oketra that I'm not going to focus in on him all game, but I dare say that the white creatures are going to come in at us. I've attacked Oketra a few times, but for obvious reasons he's going way ahead on mana. So there we are, we're at level 4, and changes the token to max speed. A Feral Prowler, when it dies, draw a card. And a legendary artifact, that is Tarian's Journal. Sacrifice another artifact or creature to draw, only as a sorcery, so gets rid of the Prowler straight away. Not too worried about edicts on his Grist apparently. Now time to see where the mono white player is looking. He might not be too worried about Tergrid if he can make enough tokens to sacrifice into it. There's an Eleshnorn, Mother of Machines, doubles up the ETBs and stops our ETBs from working. That is permanence entering, which is pretty bad with Assimilation Aegis and the Archaeomancer's map in hand. Means we might be doing nothing next turn. Inspiring Overseer gains 2 life and draws 2 cards with the Eleshnorn in play. So 3 cards in our opponent's hand and goes in at Tergrid, so not being reactionary, I always appreciate. Flickers the Dwarf in order to untap it and go back up to his starting life total. 5 cards in hand. Noteworthy he left up 2 mana but did not equip the Skull Clamp, so might be eager to hold up that 2 mana for a specific reason. Tergrid into play for 5 mana. I think I am actually going to untap the Mana Vault here because we're not doing much of anything else. There's no point passing through the entire turn having not done anything. And as soon as I do that, we draw into Master Thopterist. That is the risky run. But yeah, it might have been worth going for the Master Thopterist into Brotherhood Regalia to get some stuff that we can sacrifice into Tergrid, but whatever. I'll be taking a lot of damage regardless because I don't think I'm going to block with my Mendicant, so I'm just going to swing it in at Tergrid to show my opponents where I am focused. Dusk Legion enters and does not draw a card and lose a life, followed by Ravenous Squirrel. That is a triggered ability on Ravenous Squirrel. Whenever you sacrifice an artifact or creature, put a plus counter on it. Black Lance Paragon is another ETB, just using that to sacrifice and draw a card. So it triggers the Tergrid, giving the Black Lance back to Tergrid. Bastion of Remembrance will drain as well, plus counter on the Squirrel. Enduring Innocence is a good new ETB from the recent set, so that cares about power 2 or less. Will still only trigger once a turn even though the Eleshnorn is in play. Now our opponent goes for equipping the Skull Clamp onto a zombie token and swings God Eternal Oketra and the equipped zombie to the right. He's got plenty of vigilance, so I might as well swing with everything. We get a 4/4 and the Eleshnorn. Damage being spread, the Dwarf and the Flyer to the left. Decides to block with the Paragon that he was handed. Blocks the double strike from the commander with that. Dusk Legion blocks the Dwarf, and when the Vampire dies, triggers the Bastion of Remembrance for a drain. So that has Tergrid down to 12. Teleportation Circle flickers the Inspiring Overseer, so that will draw 2 cards on itself, 1 on the Enduring Innocence. A Palace Jailer has been discarded to hand size by Oketra, so our opponent's not playing too well into Tergrid. Hands Palace Jailer over, and okay, Tergrid didn't become the Monarch there for some reason. This is on entry. Oh, of course, it's the Eleshnorn stopping ETBs. Cabal Coffers finally hits play, so has 5, 6, 7, 8 mana available. Bad deal, you draw 2, each opponent discards 2 cards and loses 2 life. Path to Exile onto Tergrid in response means that we can discard some permanents. And Tergrid decides to scoop at that, alright. Didn't make us discard first at least. So let's see if we can actually do anything this game. Talisman of Progress will double itself up. So going Master Thopterist first makes sense. Yeah, I think we don't have to put life into the Ancient Tomb. If I go Master Thopterist, that's 3. 3 mana for Talisman and a copy. And then 3 for Brotherhood Regalia and a copy. And this will hopefully get us into some chump blockers that we can survive for a little bit with. So our first artifact, and Mendicant core, goes on the stack. And we'll decide whether or not we want to pay 1 for it. We are going to here. Make a Thopter as well, of course, with Psy. We've just been too slow compared to the mono white player. Turn 1 Soul Ring is good apparently. Not sure if you all knew that or not. Play Brotherhood Regalia as well to make another chump. And we will copy that. Say yes. I suppose I could have not copied it and then equipped it this turn so that we could not be blocked by the Inspiring Overseer. But I think it's a case of attempting to outrace the mono white player at this point. And if that's the case, it was probably a good idea to not copy this actually. Because we could have got through 10 points of commander. They're most likely going to block here. Or they've got an answer for us regardless. A Stonecloaker, so yeah, another flyer. I haven't seen that one in a long time, so double triggers. When it enters, exile a target card from a graveyard and return a creature to its owner's hand. So they could have blocked and then bounced it back with the Stonecloaker, just deciding to bounce the angel back now. So if they want to block now, they have to lose this creature. Exiling our Ginger Brute, by the way. And exiling here a Feral Prowler. So can't make use of that again. Oh, this has 3 power. I thought it was a 2/2. Okay. Well, that makes sense then. So our commander goes down again. Definitely should have equipped it with the Regalia. The commander over here is sacrificed to the artifact. I can't show it you because the graveyard keeps closing. Drain plus counter and draw a card. And there we see a Massacre Girl ready to put Wither on things. 3/3 turns in at us, surprisingly. I mean, I'd be holding it back as a blocker with Wither personally. So it looks as though we're probably going to be pretty close to dying next turn. Yeah, not equipping the Regalia was the mistake that turned the tides of this game around, I think. Okay, so hitting us for 3 and bouncing. So doesn't really have to think about this, just swings in with everything. Block the commander, block the 5/3, take 4, 8, 12 and 16 points of damage. And then next turn we take a hit for 1. We can't tap down Ancient Tomb anymore because the Gruul player, or the Golgari player, decided to scoop and take his Yavimaya with him. But still, assuming our opponent couldn't have done anything about our commander, we would have still had it in play here and could have swung through for the victory. Although it might have been that, in fact it probably would have been, that the Golgari player wouldn't have scooped if it looked like we were going to knock this guy out. It's amazing how one false move can completely change the outcome of a game. Just 1 mana can change it all. Oketra's Monument and a Pearl Medallion, 6 cards in hand. Teleportation Circle flickers the Inspiring Overseer. So ends the turn with 8 cards in hand and discards Demolition Field to hand size. Go down to 3 with the Mana Vault. We draw into Machine God's Effigy. It can be a copy of any creature on the battlefield. I don't think that's relevant. Even if we copied the God Eternal Oketra, it wouldn't trigger anyway, thanks to the Elesh Norn. Yeah, Elesh Norn has been the thing that has turned the tides for us in this game. Or for our opponent, anyway. Let's just replay our commander, we're not doing anything here. It's funny that all our white mana is pain mana as well, so we've been pretty unlucky. In fact, we can't afford our commander because of that. Let's just go for the Machine God's Effigy. Make a token with the Thopterist. That can be a copy of Psymaster Thopterist just to make more tokens. Oh, and it does still die to the Legend Rule, that's good to know. This is an artifact mana rock, but it still is called Psymaster Thopterist, so I'm guessing that's why it dies there. Tap this down for blue mana, this down for colourless, and let's sacrifice a Thopter just to see what we draw into. Sacrifice the Mana Vault as well. And a Fierce Guardianship wasn't going to help us, so I will allow my opponent to swing in and deal the lethal damage to us. We didn't get to copy too much with the Mendicant core, but the damage on this thing does mount up, so you can get commander damage through if you make more intelligent plays, like I didn't here. Our opponent gets us down to... oh, it was only 0 because of the first strike here. That was the first look into Mendicant core though, although I'm not sure when you're going to see this, if you'll see the videos in order. But hopefully you all enjoyed it regardless, just a quick one for today apparently. Big thank you to the patrons for their support of the channel, as ever. They are tireless in their support on Patreon. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.